Hello, good people. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Make America Think Again with Vaughn or Car Conversations. If you join me here on YouTube, welcome to you as well. Welcome to everyone, to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you showing up every week and working through these topics with me, or hopefully I'm making you think about some things. That is the whole intention behind this podcast. So I hope that is happening. So today we've got to talk about some cold, hard truths. We've just got to just put it out there, say it like it is, break it down to the simplest form for everybody to be able to grasp this information and what is happening around us in the United States and around us. So number one, I just want to put it out there, and I'm an optimist, people. I don't like a lot of you, I don't like delving into these topics. I don't just enjoy uh, swimming in this darkness. I actually hate it. But I have to face reality. We have to take off the rose-colored glasses. We have to stop pretending that this is not happening, because otherwise we're going to find ourselves, I've said this for over a year now, we're going to find ourselves in a position that we can't get out of. I would rather us be uncomfortable right now, have these uncomfortable conversations, go through some uncomfortable period of time where, we don't work, or we're not spending any money, or we don't participate in anything. We just shut everything down. I would rather us go through that for a short period of time until we can stifle the money that is going into the government, because literally right now we are funding our own demise. We are literally funding our own demise. Every time you go to work, every time you spend a dollar, you are funding your own demise. I saw just yesterday this video of with military equipment that, I guess they had some sort of convention going on in DC, and companies were bringing their military equipment, trying to get contracts, etc. So I saw the robo dog, and also some more what are the things they use for surveillance? Drones made by AT&T. And my first thought was, I used to be with AT&T years ago as far as phone service. I'm no longer, but still, there are millions of people in this country that are literally paying AT&T every month for their phone service, internet service, etc. They're funding our demise, literally funding our demise. So we got to have these conversations. Number one, we are living in an authoritarian state. We are in it. It's not coming. It's not around the corner. It is here. I posted 2 videos this week with from The Handmaid's Tale. And again, if you haven't watched it, please watch the freaking show. We are living the freaking show right now. So I posted this one video where they first came in, and companies were forced to fire all women. Okay, so they go and they show the armed guards escorting people out of the building where the main character works, and she's got to pack up all her stuff, and the women have to leave the company immediately. We've already seen that. That happened in the first couple of months with this administration. And then the second video I posted was of a crowd of protesters pushing back on that regime that they were facing in this, fictional world of Gilead. Well, it hadn't become Gilead yet, but so they were protesting, and of course they had the military, the armed guards, there, and then they pulled out their guns and they started shooting into the crowd. And so my question was to anybody that could see this on Instagram, I said, so since we have already lived this, where they came in and fired a whole bunch of federal workers, just on a dime, just came in and forced them out. And we saw this repeatedly the month of January, February, I think even into March. We've already lived that. How long is it, or how long will it be before we get here? Because we already have armed guards on the street. We already have armed, as of last week, we already have armed personnel of all different areas of law enforcement just walking the streets, literally in DC right now, and is coming to a city near you. So we are currently living under authoritarianism. Let's call a thing a thing. We cannot continue to bury our heads in the sand. We cannot continue just spending money or trying to go on a little vacation or posting funny videos on TikTok or Instagram or whatever social media platforms you're on to pretend that this is not happening. It is happening. Engage, people. Engage. It is happening. And we cannot just sit back and do nothing and pretend that it is not. So number two, Washington being under occupation, again, coming to red states. So last week, Felon 47 announced, 19 red states. But of course, they're going to probably focus on the blue cities that are in those red states. So for example, the state I grew up in, Texas, state of Texas, they're probably going to put the National Guard, they're going to send to Austin, Houston, and maybe Dallas. Dallas was very conservative when I left 14 years ago. I don't know where Dallas is right now. It was always traditionally more conservative than Houston. So my money is on they will send armed guards to Houston and Austin. Number three, our friends, our family members, our neighbors, the baker at the bakery that we go to, the house sitter, the lawn person, the teacher, professor, the TikTok influencer, they are all being snatched up off the streets. They're being snatched up, they are being kidnapped, and they are being human trafficked because they are not receiving due process. And they're being sent out of the country, or they're being sent to these concentration camps for labor. That's what's coming next. I've told you this repeatedly over and over and over. This government is banking on making money off of their bodies being in those facilities. The millionaires and billionaires that own these privatized detention centers, they are going to become more and more rich, the more people that are being housed in these detention centers from being paid by the government. And the government, I'm quite sure, is going to get a kickback once they are able to, these detention centers, concentration camps are able to contract these people out, whether they contract them here in America or they contract them out to another country for their labor. That's what's going to happen. That's happening right now. These detention centers popping up, it's all the money that is in the big BS bill is funding all of this. And how does that money get there for the big BS bill is our tax dollars. Our tax dollars and how we spend money with corporations. So we have people that are being kidnapped off the streets. They're being sent to concentration camps. Let's be clear about this. And they are being human trafficked. They are not receiving due process in court. We have a gun, a pedo, and a racism problem in America. I'm going to repeat that. We have a weapons, we have a pedo, and we have a racism issue in America. And all three problems, all three issues are continuously and predominantly perpetuated by one group in this country. Let's be very clear about that. Just last week, we're just going to talk about just one. Just last week, I could get into the others, Epstein. But I'm going to talk about one right now. Just last week, we saw another mass shooting in Minnesota at a Catholic church school. And apparently this individual was able to get the weaponry that they used legally. But why do we have weapons of war on the street? Why are regular civilians able to access weapons of war? I believe that there were 120 to 130 K shells found on the scene outside or inside of this church. Why did this person have access to that type of weapon? So in this country, in America, we have a weapon, we have a gun, we have a pedo, and we have a racism issue. And I'm gonna say this one more time. statistically and evidentially, we have one group of people in America that has consistently perpetuated all three. Which brings me to another note. So right after this mass shooting, or pew pew, I forget that I'm on social media, after this incident last week took place in Minnesota, you had Republicans all over media focusing on the fact that this individual is or was trans. Let me say this. If Republicans, if and when you are ever having a conversation with a Republican, someone who calls themselves a conservative Republican or MAGA, whatever, whenever you're having a conversation with them and they want to focus on gender or trans over gun control and protecting lives, I want you to bring up Grindr. Because if they would rather talk about gender and transgender, then we need to have a conversation about why every time you're in town, conservative Republicans, you crash Grindr's website. Since you don't want to talk about gun control, let's talk about, you want to talk about gender, let's do it. And let's talk about why whenever you're in town, you are going after male escorts. Why you are on these websites trying to procure male escorts. So much so to the point that you are crashing the website. It crashed twice during the 2024 Republican convention. If that's what they want to talk about, have that conversation. Tell them to have that conversation. Otherwise, let's focus on the gun control. Let's focus on how we can save children's lives. We are literally failing children in our country over and over and over again. And now you got the director of the secretary of the HHS talking about pulling vaccines for children. So the number one cause of death right now for children in the United States is guns, is gun violence. But guess what's getting ready to move up the totem pole? Because this idiot in DC is pulling vaccinations for children. Let's move on. The Epstein files must stretch wide and far because these people are doing everything in their power to distract us from it. Everything in their power to distract us from it. So I don't know who all is involved. I'm quite sure it continued well beyond Epstein passing away. Hell, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell might be low-hanging fruit on the tree in regards to sex trafficking of children. But what I do know is, for a fact, this is something that they do not want us talking about. So much so that they are willing now to send the National Guard into red states, into states where Felon 47 has a relationship with the governors. I want y'all to think about this. He has a good standing relationship with the governors. They literally kiss his ass all the time and do whatever they need to do to stay in his good graces. But now he has said, I'm going to send some of the National Guard to you because he wants to distract us from the Epstein files. Think about that. Dear Black people, to all my 92%, dear Black people, are y'all ready? MAGA does not like you. MAGA will never like you. There are members of not traditional conservatives. Now, I'm not saying all Republicans. I'm saying specifically white Christian nationalists And some of the members, the majority of members, but a lot of the members of MAGA do not like you. Stop trying. Stop trying. Stop trying to bring them back over. Stop trying to convert them to Democrat. Stop trying. Just stop. Abandon all hope. And here's why I say this. I started watching this this woman on YouTube. I believe her page is Life Take Two, if you want to research this woman. And I highly suggest everybody, but specifically people of color, watch the videos that this woman has posted. She's posted videos about why she was part of white Christian nationalism, why she was part of MAGA, why she voted for Felon 47, the life of a trad wife. She talks about how that all came to be for her. She talks about the Mormon church. She talks about why they dislike us so much. And there's nothing you could do. There's no level of education. There's no amount of money. There's no big house that you could buy. There's no you being at Fiji with them at the same time. None of it. Flying in first class with them. Nothing can change the way they feel about you, because they believe that it's a religious ideology for them. And it is something that they have been indoctrinated in them since they were children, since they were babies. They were taught that we have brown skin because we are being punished, because we did something wrong. And they are the chosen ones. And they deserve all the riches. And they deserve all the good things. And we can never get out that box because we've got the brown skin. We've got the beautiful brown skin they believe is the mark of something bad. So stop trying with those folks. And I highly suggest that you watch her videos. Moving on, the felon does not plan to leave the White House. He does not. He does not. As a matter of fact, let me go back to one of my earlier points. Part of the reason why they have the National Guard and all of these members of all the different levels of law enforcement walking around armed in cities is because they are trying to desensitize us to it and condition us to be accustomed to the fact of this is life for us. They're trying to get us used to the idea of that this is why we must push back. Number one reason why we must push back. But how this is tied into the felon never leaving the White House, because they plan to use these same people, if they don't just try to keep it in place through 2026, they're going to use the same tactics when the next election comes up. They want you to be afraid of going to the polls. They want you to be afraid of going to the mailbox to get your mail-in ballot. They want you to be afraid of campaigning for people. They want you to be afraid of just moving around and doing anything in regards to elections. They want less people to show up. They want less people to participate. They want the majority of you to cower and be so afraid to do anything. They want you to think if you vote, then somehow they're going to find out how you vote and they're going to come after you. I guarantee you this conversation is going to come up. Felon 47 is already floating. He floated just this past week, at least at minimum 2 times, I think a third, of being a dictator. He keeps talking about it because the more you hear it, the more you get desensitized to it, the more comfortable with the thought you become. It's psychology. Think about how he's done everything since 2015. He starts off with something as a joke, laughs it off, and then he keeps repeating it until it becomes a thing. He makes a thing just by talking about it and putting it out there, and you latching onto it and thinking, oh, well, this must be right. because he keeps saying it. And it's bullshit. It's simple psychology 101. So he doesn't plan to leave. That's why he's building a freaking ballroom with some more gold gaudy shit. And it's also why he has pulled up beautiful grass and roses and things like that, and has a cement garden next to his office. He doesn't plan to go anywhere. And I would be surprised if the scarring on his hands is because he's getting some kind of something intravenously that he thinks is going to keep his ass alive. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. And why this is not far-fetched is because this, what I just talked about, is something that Peter Thiel was flying to Epstein's Island to give seminars on. They're trying to figure out how they can stay alive forever. So again, we're trying to have some cold, hard truths here. It might sound fanciful, it might sound far-fetched, but this is what these people are doing. This is what they believe. This is what they're trying to make happen. South Park has been spot on every single week. Thank you, South Park. Thank you for not cowering. Thank you for telling the truth about everything. Thank you for through satire and comedy, showing the ridiculousness of this administration and the teeny tiny size of Felon 47's you know what. Okay, so moving on, some more cold, hard truths that we have to have. Blue states, this is what I believe. This redistricting vote that we're going to take here in California, yes, we got to do that. Again, I want to remind everybody, if you're in California, you must be registered by October 20th. The special election is on November 4th. And we are voting yes, yes on Proposition 50. Yes, to be able to redistrict in the state of California so we can send more Democrats to DC to hopefully take the House of Representatives, okay? But I also believe, and other blue states, y'all need to get on board. So that's number one. But to my 92%, again, I'm coming to you again. You need to apply pressure on your blue state governors. Because as far as I know right now, Gavin Newsom is the only governor who has actually taken any action towards redistricting. Kathy Hochul has said, oh yeah, game on, but has she done anything? Has she done anything? Tim Walz in Minnesota, game on. Has he done anything? Governor Pritzker in Illinois, has he done anything? So we need you to apply pressure on your blue state governors. Number two, I believe that blue states should withhold their tax dollars. Withhold your federal tax dollars. Again, this goes back to us supporting our own demise. We are literally financing our own demise. The state of California alone, by itself, contributes 80 billion with a B dollars, federal dollars, to the government. What if we cut that money off? What if we held that money for ourselves? Because listen, we have nothing to lose. This administration has cut FEMA. They cut the FDA. They cut the EPA. They cut the CDC. Just this past week, you saw people walk out from the CDC. They cut Medicaid. They cut housing. They cut SNAP. All the life-sustaining, again, all the life-sustaining entities that we had in our federal government to help us as states, they have cut funding for. So what do we have to lose by withholding our dollars? Now we've got to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves if there's a natural disaster. We have to take care of ourselves now because there's no FDA, there's no Food and Drug Administration. We got to do that ourselves on the state level now. EPA, clean air, clean water. We've got to cover that now. We got to make sure that we are taking in clean water into our bodies. And that's the only thing that can be sold in grocery stores. The CDC, Center for Disease Control. Like now states have to pick up the slack on that. And that's going to require money. So why are we going to send our money, our dollars to DC for them just to militarize, to use that money to militarize all the states, to use that money to beef up the icy folks so they can go out and snatch and kidnap more people? Why would we continue to send our dollars to the federal government if that's what they're going to do? And we're going to be supporting our own demise when we should be keeping that money, helping ourselves on the state level. And then also, let me show you how this is also connected. If we siphon off the money, the donor states siphon off the money, we withhold our federal dollars, and red states cannot receive that money, don't you think the citizens in the red states will be pretty pissed off? Whether they're Democrat or Republican, eventually they're going to be pissed off because they are going to be receiving less resources. Here's the thing, the big bullshit bill, really, people will not feel the brunt of that until the midterm elections and beyond. Republicans set it up that way. We need people to feel the shit now. We need them to feel the impact of what this administration is doing right now. And beyond some conversations about steak going up and having some sensory tags on them, people are not really feeling it. It doesn't seem like it because people don't seem pissed off enough. So what we could do to help them out, blue state governors, is to withhold our dollars. Red states, make it on your own. Make it on your own. And I guarantee you, if we did that, within 6 months, not a year from now, or a year and a half from now, within 6 months, we will see a change in how vocal people are being in red states. Now, I know there's some people that are speaking up, but I'm talking about the majority. See, the problem is we are too comfortable in America. We've gotten too comfortable. So we've got to make people uncomfortable to get the results that we want. So I am imploring our blue state governors to withhold federal tax dollars. Yes, let's do the gerrymandering and voting, redistricting. Let's do all of that. Let's do that. But in conjunction with, in connection to, and comma, we can withhold tax dollars. It will put some fire under citizens that are in the red states and get them to fight with us against this regime. But also, we need those dollars. God forbid a natural disaster happens. God forbid water gets tainted. God forbid there's another bird flu. God forbid there's, what did I see, some weird worm thing I saw last week. There's the measles outbreak. I don't know how that's doing in Texas now that they've cut the CDC. Like, all this shit is happening. I even saw that there was one case of the plague. The old school plague was found here just a couple of weeks ago in America, a person with the plague. So we got to take off the rose-colored glasses, folks. We've got to deal in real, hardcore facts and realities, and we've got to do something sooner rather than later. Because later, we might not have a chance or an opportunity to do anything. This is happening fast and furiously. We are only 8 months in, and DC is occupied. We are living under authoritarianism in America. What will next year look like if we don't put a stop to this? What will the midterms look like if we don't put a stop to this? Will we get to the midterms? Dude is building a ballroom. He's not planning to leave. Hello? Wake up, everybody. Cold hard facts, cold hard truths. We've got to stop this shit, and we've got to stop it right now.